Hey folks, sorry I couldn't be there today. What I want to do is walk you through a few of the questions from the worksheet Radical Expressions Review. These problems are important for our upcoming unit, so I want to make sure that you can do both of the worksheets that I've assigned you today. All right, let's take a look. So here's Radical Expressions Review. The first question is root 16 over root 25. So when I look at that, I see it's a division problem. So what I'm going to do, remember, we need our perfect squares. So if you want to write those at the top, let's go ahead and do that right now. It's good to write them down. That way you can just look quickly and see what the perfect squares are. Hopefully you are learning what they are at this point. All right, so there they are. Now when I look at that first question, square root of 16 over 25, I see that both of those are perfect squares. So I can just go ahead and take the square root. So this is going to be the square root of 16, which is 4, over the square root of 25, which is 5. So we get 4/5. You can also separate this if you prefer. All right, you can split the division. All right, you're going to get the same answer. So either one of those is correct, whichever way you want to solve it. All right, let's look at the next one. Square root of 3 times the square root of 18. Neither of those are perfect squares, but if I look at my perfect squares, I can see that 9 is a perfect square that will go into 18. So I need to simplify this. So it's going to be root 3. Since I can't take the square root of that, I'm just going to rewrite it. Times the square root of 9 times the square root of 2. This equals 18. But now I can take the square root of 9. So I'm going to rewrite this. 3. All right, I'm moving the 3 out. And then I'm left with the square root of 3 times the square root of 2. So now I can multiply these two together, giving me 3 root 6. All right, so right here, I took the square root of 9, which is 3, and then just multiplied those two together because they're both under the radical. All right, so you get 3 root 6. All right, the next one, square root of 18. If I look, once again, 9 will divide evenly into 18. So I can rewrite this as the square root of 9 times the square root of 2, which will give me 3 square root of 2. I just took the square root of 9. Can't take the square root of 2, so I have to leave it. All right, let's take a look at number 4. I'm going to leave that one for you to do because that one isn't that difficult, but it does involve finding a perfect square that will go into 8. All right, the next one is a subtraction. Subtraction's a little different because if you remember, you have to have like radicals. We don't have like radicals right now. They're different. We've got the square root of 12, square root of 48. But what I do see is that I can divide one of my perfect squares into 12. 4 goes into 12. All right, so let's rewrite that as 4 square root of 4 square root of 3. 4 times 3 is 12. Minus, I also know that 16 will go into 48. So I can rewrite this as the square root of 16 times the square root of 3. My lights just went out in my room. Hold on. The motion sensor. All right. So now I'm going to go ahead and take the square root of 4. So 4 times, that's going to give me 2 root 3 minus the square root of 16 is 4 root 3. So 4 times 2, 8 root 3 minus 4 root 3. And now if you look, we have like radicals. Square root of 3. So we can combine them now. 8 minus 4 gives you 4 root 3. Remember, that is like saying 8x minus 4x, which would give you 4x. When you have radicals, they have to be alike. So it's 8 root 3 minus 4 root 3 gives you 4 root 3. So there's your answer. All right? I'm going to let you try the next one on your own, square root of k squared. You're just taking the square root of k squared. So see if you can figure out what that is. All right, the only other one I want to address at this point is number 9, right underneath that. Because if you remember, you can't leave a radical in the denominator. So we have to rationalize. I'm going to write that word on here. Okay, we're going to rationalize this. That means we need to get rid of the radical in the denominator. So I'm going to take the square root of 11 over the square root of 11. I'm really just multiplying that by 1, right? Because square root of 11 over the square root of 11 is 1. So that's going to equal, just multiply across, negative 6 root 11. And if I multiply the square root of 11 times the square root of 11, I get the square root of 121, which is 11. So if you remember, whenever you multiply a radical times itself, you just get the number underneath. You cannot cancel these because I don't have a square root here. So that's your answer. So the rule when you rationalize is whatever's in the denominator, you just multiply that number over itself by both the numerator and the denominator, multiply straight across. All right, so hopefully now you can complete the rest of this worksheet as well as the other puzzle sheet that I gave you. And I'll see you tomorrow. Good luck.